Here we go.
Good morning, YouTube. Man, always George Page, aka the Emperor of Female Bodybuilding Talk, coming to you live on YouTube. Well, folks, I'm excited. We have a big weekend coming up tomorrow. We're having the Toronto Supershow, and it's one of the few shows that still has women's bodybuilding on the lineup. Also, it has pretty much every division. It is outside of the outside of the Olympia. It's one of the few shows that has all divisions. Like, most shows, especially for pro qualifiers, you're going to have maybe, half of the men's divisions and half of the women's divisions, or one or two or three divisions here and there. But this show is a super show. And it's also, tomorrow is a pro qualifier. Now, the show comes out on Sunday, but tomorrow will be the pro qualifier. So you want to check that out. I'm going to leave the link in the description. So anyway, folks, after last month, we had a long drought. We had no women's bodybuilding. We had several, I'm not saying several, we had like at least 3 shows featuring women's physique, but no shows with women's bodybuilding. So we had pretty much a month-long drought. As you know, we didn't have New York. And also, there were the other shows, like, last month, like the month before, in April, we had Triple O and we had Puerto Rico, and we had 2 competitors, but, it was a drought. But this show is a show that's been around, and it's great to see women's bodybuilding to start off the summer. So the list came out on Monday, and, I waited for it because, I want to see if any names drop off, something happens. We had a couple shows, somebody dropped out for whatever reason. So anyway, the list come out. We have 10 women here, 10 women. As you know, the Toronto Super Show is now also Olympic qualifier. It's for next year's Masters O qualification. And we have here a list of some ladies who are, who've done the show in the past, and pretty much, I would say local competitors, because this is Canada. And Canada has always been a country where it really has been produced amazing women in the sport of bodybuilding. So the list is out, and we have here, started off first, is Nadia Capasoto, who is last year's champion. Nadia has been in the game quite some time. She's been a multiple-time Olympian, been a Rising Phoenix competitor. Amazing lady. I remember when I first saw her, she made her switch to women's bodybuilder back in 2020, where she got her first qualification. No, 2021. I'm sorry, 2021 at the Puerto Rico Pro. And then she did at least 2 more shows and won another qualification, right after the Olympia. And just amazing physique. I think she has a great look to her. I mean, I follow on social media. Even when I tag something, she tagged me back. So I shout out to Nadia. Next up, we have one Miss Victoria Dominguez, and she's been in the game for quite some time. Last year, she won the Masters Olympia qualification at the Masters World Championships in Pittsburgh. So she's coming in here probably most definitely shooting for a shot to go back to, she's already got her spot, but hey, it doesn't hurt to try to see if get another, just get a win, be the 40-person champion in this show. Next up, we have Nikki Chartrand. Miss Chartrand, she has been inactive for the past 2 or 3 years. She's been a multiple-time Olympian herself, also a Rising Phoenix competitor. And this is her backyard, Canada. I know at one point she was living here in the States, but then we went back to Canada. She went through a lot of stuff, but now she's back in the game. It's great. We need all our ladies, 10 toes down, boots on the ground to compete. And I hope she does maybe a couple more shows for the years out. Next up, we have the lady who last competed pretty much almost 4 years ago at the Olympia, at the 2022 Olympia, when it was in Vegas. I mean, that was a mistake. They shouldn't have brought it back in Vegas. They should have just waited and, brought it back in 2024 and make it the 60th anniversary. But, that's not here or there. That's Branka Najogovic. If I got the name wrong, I apologize. She's from Croatia. Amazing lady, crazy great physique. I mean, she's been a multi-time Olympian, both in women's bodybuilding and women's physique. Now, back in 2022, she was a top 5. To me, she should have been 3rd place. No offense to Hela Trevino and, a couple of ladies that were in that list, but she should have been 3rd place. She would have, if she got 3rd place, she would have came back next year, but she took a step back, and this lady's in her 50s now, and just amazing physique. If you see her now, she's been posting stuff. She looks great. She looks awesome. Her condition is just crazy. I feel like this is somebody who's going to be challenged Nadia for the title. Next up we have is a lovely lady who I've met personally and also have been a guest of my channel. That's the lovely Miss Sheena Oleg. Now, Sheena, as you know, she competed just about a few months ago at the Triple O Dynasty show. She competed in the Women's Open, and she was in, I think she was 6th at that show. I mean, no, yeah, she was 6th. She looks really good from what I'm seeing for her. She was an amazing lady, great personality. She posts a lot of good stuff. She competed the show a couple of times in her career as a women's bodybuilder. So let's hope she does well. Next up, we have one Miss Alita Ople. And, she's originally from Hungary. Hungary. And she's been to Olympia back in 2024 when she got a qualification at the Olympia Classic. And she competed last year also at the Masters the Masters Olympia. President Physique, she was winning Physique, but she made the switch and she got her first Olympic qualification the year after. Amazing lady, great physique, great look to her. I hope she does well also. Next up is my dear friend and lovely Mrs. Gabby Morrison. Now, I know they go Gabby De La Vega, but she's Morrison. She's been married since last year. And she was planning to do the show last year, but issues with her injury set her back, and also faced some issues with her, I think, her passport. But, she wanted to do the show last year, but injury set her back. Gabby's has a good year. Not only is she being sponsored by and training with the team, they're no longer Team 4 Pro, with Hella Trevino and Gina Cavallo. Also, she's part of the Behind the Physique Women's Bodybuilding documentary. And that's great. I mean, this really helps her. She's really promoted herself. So she's also competed for a chance to go to the Masters. So she's been, she did 1 year, but she couldn't make it because, again, the issues of expense of going to Japan and all that. That's why I'm hoping they do have the Master shows here, the Master Olympia here in the United States. It makes more sense. There's more competitors here than going overseas. Next up, it's a lovely young lady who I got a chance to interview a couple of times on my channel, is Anastasia Ryder. I know she got a married name, but I'm not gonna mess it up. Now, Anastasia, as you know, she, in her last interview, she said she would take the year off and maybe grow because she was planning on moving, her and her husband. But then she started the GoFundMe for, Adam Women's Bodybuilding for the Tampa Pro. And, they get the money up. She's also working with Kelly Larkins, and she also is ambassador for the Behind the Physique Women's Bodybuilding documentary. Amazing lady, very dedicated. Shout out to, I've supported her GoFundMe too. I mean, I put a little money in there. I'm like I said, I'm not a rich man, but I do as much as I can with what I got. But she's an amazing lady. She looked really good, and I hope she does well also as a show. Next up is Tina Rodriguez. And Tina got her pro card last year at the Amateur Olympia. She looked for quite some time. I know a while back, she took a step back from the NPC and went over the PCA, came back and did the Amateur Olympia and got a pro card in women's bodybuilding. Surprise, and making a pro debut. Well, there's quite a few competitors who decided not to sit and wait a year or two, and they want to hit the ground running. So let's wish the best of luck to Tina. And last but not least is Dr. Kia Squarey. And Dr. Squarey, as you know, she's been in the game for quite some time. She's been women's bodybuilding for the last couple of years. She was women's physique. As you know, she works as a neurologist back in Newfoundland. And, that's part of Canada. It's another section of Canada. It's like, a little far off, but, and this is going to be her first for the show of the year. She's also invited to the Rising Phoenix. And I hope we see her a little more active. I mean, as you know, they're not going to have the open class for women's bodybuilding at the Chicago Pro, but she does masters. So maybe we see her there too. She did it last year and she looked very impressive. No, not last year, back in 2024. And she looked really impressive. So let's wish the best for the dear doctor. Now we have here is the list for women's physique. And as you know, I'm doing a part 2 because there is the list for fitness and figure. So I'm gonna do that separately because there's so many competitors, and with I use Gmail to send my pictures when I do my videos, and it'll allow you so many pictures at one time. So the list came out, and here we have a good number of ladies. This is a lot, especially for women's physique this season, because, a couple of shows come short under even 10 ladies, at least 7 to 8 or 9, but this is a super show, and ladies really come to show out, and also we have master's qualification, and it's also a good deep number here. Here we have one Miss Sarah Bowe, and Miss Bowe has been competing for quite some time. She's from Canada, and she last competed, I think, in 2024 at the Chicago Pro. Next up we have she's a phenom, and there's a lot of talk going on about this young lady, and that is Sarah Bradley. As you know, Sarah is from the UK, and she took some time off, about 3 years, and she made her return at the Ultima Classic, winning the show. Impressive young lady. But there's a lot of things going on. I think there's a lot of controversy about if she's really women's bodybuilding or women's physique. Again, from my standpoint, I don't know if you're going to say she's women's bodybuilding. But again, whatever the judges say and believe they're rewarding, it can be unfair. Next up, we have one Miss Kylie Komiko. If I got a name wrong, I want to apologize. And I believe this is going to be her pro debut. I believe she turned pro last year at the Toronto Supershow. Next up, we have one Miss Georgina Debrino, and she's been in the game for quite some time. She last competed at the Vancouver Isle show, as no longer do the pros anymore. It's just doing amateurs. Next up, we have is Olga Pazvaz. As you know, Olga was supposed to do a couple of shows this year, but she dropped out. Let's hope she can make this show. I mean, maybe about the issue because, she's from Mexico. And, right now, things here in the States, it'd be best for her to maybe do shows outside the country. So, this show come up in Mexico and also the show in Brazil. So I think those shows particularly be best for you for now. Next up, we have one Miss Ariel Hibb. And Miss Hibb turned pro at the North Americans. So this is going to be her pro debut. Next up, we have one Miss Stephanie Jama. And Miss Jama is also originally from Canada, but she lives in the United Emirates, Dubai. So this is going to be also her pro debut. This lady I'm excited to see. I'm a big fan of. She's been a guest on my channel a couple of times. I've been rooting for her. Her last couple of shows, she was the top 2. To me, she should have won at least Omaha. That is the Iron Woman herself, Marika Jones. I'm a fan of Marika. She's a great lady, amazing person. She was kind of, at one point, she did a live where she talked about she would maybe just stop it, but then she decided to maybe take a chance at Toronto. And I honestly, I hope she does win this because, she's a great person. She deserves the opportunity to come back to Olympia. Her first qualification was 2024 when she won at St. Louis. And now St. Louis does not carry women's physique anymore. But I'm hoping she does win this show. I generally do. Because what the judges are going through, they're rewarding certain women that don't deserve to be rewarded. That's my opinion. You may not like it, but it's my opinion. Next up, we have one Miss Shida Kamrame. This lady's also been competing some time, and this might be her pro debut. Next up, we have is Sandra Knisvik. Sandra's been a guest on my channel. She's originally from Poland, but she lives in Switzerland. She's been in Olympia back in 2024 when she had a qualification at the Imperial Classic in Spain. Amazing lady, great person. She was working with Heltrina as a coach, but now she has a new coach. That's Boss Outlaw. Next up, we have a lady who's been a guest on my channel also, the lovely Miss Shannon Leister, as aka Tink. And she turned pro at North Americans last year. As Shannon's also a law enforcement agent, detective back in B-More. And this is going to be her pro debut. I wish her all the best. We're in contact. Maybe we might get her back on and tell her the experience of her pro debut. Next up, we have a lady who just announced her switch from figure to women's physique. That is Gabriela Lahartova. Now, as you know, Gabriela just a couple of weeks ago, did the Ultima Classic in figure, and she was dead last. And I've been following this lady, and she follows me back on my social media. But I've seen that she is most definitely growing towards women's physique than figure. We talked about this on one of my lives Monday, where she's looking more towards women's physique than she is figure. Her lats, her shoulders, her development. Just need maybe bring some size in her quads and legs. I think she would do well. But she's also been an Olympian quite a few times in figure. Next is a lady who I got to meet when I was in Tampa. That's the lovely Miss Sherry Mack. Now, Mrs. Mack, this is going to be her second show since she turned pro. The amazing lady, she's just doing the Masters 40 class, not doing the Open. Like I said, go ahead and do Open. You don't have to pay to play in the Open, but like I said, whatever you feel comfortable with. But shout out to the lovely Mrs. Mack. We have another lady who's been a guest on my channel. I am a fan of this lady. Last year, she won the women's physique title at 59 years old. She's going to be 60 this year. And that is the lovely Mrs. Robin Mays. And she was the oldest lady to make her Olympia qualification last year. Great ladies, dedicated grandmother, wife, mother. I mean, I'm a fan of Mrs. Mays. Hope she does well this show. I mean, like I said, it's going to be a tough lineup, but she's also going to be competing for the Masters old qualification too. So either way, she's going to do good. Next up we have is Diana Perez. Diana, as you know, I interviewed a while back. She made her pro debut at the New York Pro. Impressive young lady, very dedicated. I know recently she was living in the Midwest, but her and her fiance moved to New York City. So, doing Toronto shows, it's a lot easier. It's close to New York than going to any other show. So let's wish the best to Diana. Next up we have here is Tanya Sablik, and she is from Canada. She's been competing for quite some time. I think she last time competed was in 2023. And last but not least we have is Hung Young. As you know, the lovely Miss Hung just got her first Olympic qualification at the Omaha Pro. Now this is her U.S. debut last weekend at the Omaha Pro. Impressive. This is where I feel like, she has a impressive physique, but I feel like she's closer to women's bodybuilding. She's the physique, especially at the material. I mean, again, I feel like Marika should win the show, but again, she has a impressive physique, and more likely she's going to be in the top 3 at this show, especially how the judges going, So anyway, the show is going to be on Sunday. The pro show is going to be on Sunday. The amateur show is on Saturday. So you want to check it out. I already got my pay-per-view, so I'm going to watch it. I'm going to check it out. I'm going to support it because I'm a fan. Especially any promoters that still allow women's bodybuilding on their roster. I mean, even I post some stuff, they even tag me back, and I appreciate that. The Ultimate Class is the same thing. Sometimes, some other shows might tag them, but then they don't tag me back. So, so I don't, tag your name when I put in my social media. But the show's going to be starting 9 p.m. As you know, Toronto is on U.S. Eastern Standard Time. Any place else is going to be different by each time zone. But for me here in North Carolina, it's going to be 9 o'clock, a.m. And then I think they're going to have the finals around about 3 or 4 later that afternoon. So you want to check it out. I'm going to watch it. I might even do this like I did for the Triple O. I might do a pre-record live. I might pre-record and watch it, cut some clips, and post it on my social media, especially for you fans. As you know, I do support shows that support women's bodybuilding, and I would support this show. So check it out. I'm going to leave the link to the live stream. You can go watch it. They also do replay. So you miss it that Sunday, you can probably watch it that Monday. So check it out. Shout out to this promoters of the Toronto Super Show. And congratulations to you ladies who are competing this weekend. Anyway, this man always George Page, a.k.a. the Emperor of Female Body Talk. Like, don't like, subscribe. I am out.